Hi. Now everybody can hear what I'm rambling on about. So it's exciting to hear. Let me, first of all, you don't have horns, right? So in the Carl King, I've just got a few little detail things, and then I want to pass these on to my colleagues, who will give you great comments. In the Carl King March, is there, Caleb, maybe you can tell me, in the Carl King March, is there somebody covering those horn afterbeat? Well, no, the ba. Oh, okay. I was gonna. You'll hear me say something about that on the recording. So, I don't know if there's a possibility when you do things like that of providing that afterbeat texture in there. I grew up just not far from where Carl King's band was in the state of Iowa, and when I was in college, we recorded a whole album of Carl King stuff. So I'm really familiar with this music and the traditions of it. Those afterbeat things are really important. And they happen in some places in the Kentucky piece, the Grundman piece as well. And I heard them a little bit more there because they're in the saxophone parts, I think. So just make sure that those things pop out. I've got a few particular things, because I thought overall your performance was very effective. But in the Encanto piece, I've got a suggestion for you for that opening fanfare that then comes back again later. Ba, 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 right? One of the things that can make that really effective or kind of not effective is if the 16th notes in that fanfare are not quite together, right? And one way to assure that they are together, let's start with the people who have that at the very beginning. I think it's brass, trumpets, right? Is it somebody besides trumpets at the beginning? Okay, great. So one of the things I think you can do is just don't play the tied note. Now, if you talk to my students over the years, they will tell you I was always telling them this. Don't play tied notes, just in general. And that is especially true in a hall like this. You hear the resonance here, right? How things come back at you. It's a wonderful place to play, but it can be kind of problematic. Problematic for percussion in terms of just balance. And I have one little remark about that a little bit later on. Although I think overall you guys did a really good job with that. But you have to be aware always of the environment that you're in. And this idea about leaving this tied note out in this fanfare, I think would be universal. I'd say to do that always, but I think especially in a resonant place like this. Can we try that fanfare? You're doing it about this fast, probably ba, 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 right? So just play it the way you played it before. People who start that. I'll give you a bar for nothing. 1, 2, 3, breathe. Yeah, now, did you hear how those 16ths not quite together, right? So the way to get things together is to make sure that you always have a rhythmic preparation whenever you have to do something like that. And the rhythmic preparation in this case becomes a release on 2, where the tied note is written. Ba, 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 bum, ba, right? You hear that effect? Give that rhythmic preparation, and then you're set to start together on the and of 2, where those 16th notes are. Try it. 1, 2, 3, breathe. Already better. Not perfect, but already a lot better. Try it one more time. 1, 2, 3, breathe. Yeah. Now, does anybody miss that tied note? I think it makes that figure more effective, right? You'll all have that later on, or a bunch of people have that later on, don't you? Like near the end of the piece, like the coda, in the coda, somewhere? Oh, okay, well, let's do it at measure 6. You don't even have to go to the coda. Yeah, try it. So everybody who plays that at bar 6, right, do that same thing. Encanto, bar 6. And we're all going to leave out that tied note and make a nice rhythmic release on 2. 1, 2, bar 6, breathe. Nice, right? very good ensemble. Just a small thing, but it's one of those kinds of things that you can do within an ensemble that is not written in the music, so you're not playing exactly what's there, but it really helps the whole thing come out. And it's not only a matter of just being together on the 16th notes, but it also kind of opens up this space which makes those 16ths more important. It makes it sound more like a fanfare. So always look for those opportunities to do those kinds of things. I think the other thing I would say just about this piece in general that you could be a little bit more effective at, and again, I thought it was a very good performance, is the fast tune, ba-da-ba-bum-ba-bum-bum-ba, right? Wherever that starts. Yeah, okay. Let's find a place where more people, 23, a few more people have it, the flute's join, right? Is whenever you have that, wherever you have that, whoever has that, in the second bar of that tune, no, the first bar of that tune, ba-da-ba-ah, what do you see there on the second eighth note in beat 2? Besides the tie, what's right on top of the note? Yeah, it's that accent. And the more you can do that, you're doing it, right? I'm definitely hearing it. So you've been taught well to do that. If you can do it more, right? That's what really makes this tune work. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And what that does, it coincides with an accompaniment figure later on. Some of the low brass have da-ah, right? And they can make that a little bit sharper by leaving a little space after the dotted quarter. I mentioned that on the recording. But if you can bring that little hemiola out, we call that rhythm a hemiola because you're taking da 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 just outlining this canario rhythm. That's really a kind of a traditional rhythm. So just make sure that that really pops out. Very nicely done. And I got one more just really detailed comment. I don't know, you're playing the bass drum in that last piece, right? And you've got those big bass drum hits at the end. What's your dynamic there? Is it triple forte? Yeah. This is just, and I'm using you as a way to get to a point to make for everybody there. Everybody has triple forte in that last section of that last piece. Bear in mind when you see a dynamic like that that's really extreme and everybody has it all the way down the score. Of course, you're only looking at your part, but it's good to be aware that everybody has that. That's an ensemble dynamic. So it probably means that you may need to play fortissimo in your part to balance with the rest of the ensemble. Or you may need to play less than fortissimo, right, to balance with the ensemble. So when a composer writes a dynamic all the way down the score like that, everybody's the same dynamic, the composer wants the effect to be that the whole ensemble creates fortissimo, but not necessarily that the bass drum creates fortissimo. It's got to be within context, right? What you were doing there, I would love to have you do in the last movement of the, is it the first whole suite with that big bass drum, the march? I think it's the first suite, right, Dr. Gerhardstein? Yeah, okay. Perfect there. Here it's a little bit too much. And the way to know that is to keep in mind that this is a dynamic for the entire ensemble. And it's not just the bass drum. Everybody has to have that in mind there when you're looking at dynamics in your parts. And when they're really extreme, question about whether it's an ensemble dynamic or an individual dynamic. Anyway, just some detailed stuff. I'm really glad to hear this group play. I've been around your high school so much, and it's a pleasure to finally hear you play. And thank you very much for being here early on a Saturday morning. All right, I'm going to turn this over to my colleague.
Hello. My name is Erin Keaton Howard. I just dropped all these papers. I am a band director and a composer in Seattle, Washington, and I really enjoyed your performance today. I want to talk to you for just a few minutes about some balance things and fermatos. So, can we look at Encanto 81? Measure 81. Does this feel about right? Too fast, too slow? About right, okay? Let's just give it a try, and I wanna listen again, if you don't mind. We will take the pickup. Here's the pickup to 81. Imagine a giant mixing board like at a rock concert, where all the levels are blinking. And you're doing really good things. I just want to adjust the levels a little bit. Like, I don't have any complaints about, toe quality, notes, rhythm, ensemble pulse. I don't have any complaints about that. I just want to change the levels. So, can I hear at 81? Anybody? Do you have a French horn in here? Okay. Do you have a tenor sax? Anybody whose instrument is bigger than an alto sax, play now. Here we go. It's my favorite unit of measurement. Here we go, ready? With the pickup, 1, 2. Good. All right. Can we hear snaps for them? Cool. So, have you ever heard of the pyramid of sound? I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the magical bubble of sound. So, when you start playing, magical bubble appears, and the biggest sound needs to be the back row, okay? Specifically tubas. Everybody else's sound has to fit within that sound. And it's because science. Okay? So if you play tuba, and we don't have bass clarinets in here either, so that means that tuba, big responsibility, okay? Big instrument, big responsibility. So your sound has to be big enough to hold the entire band, all right? And then the next level is bari sax, you can share the responsibility. Okay, so then we've got, specifically in your band, I would say it's probably trombone and alto, you're the next level. So your sound is gonna fill until it's almost as big as the bass instruments, but it cannot be bigger. If your sound becomes bigger than the bass voices, you pop the magical bubble, and the magic is gone. Okay? Now, like second, third trumpet, clarinet 2, flute 2, you're the next level. Your sound is going to enter the magical bubble and expand, but if it is bigger than the saxophone or the trombone, what happens? Magical bubble is popped, right? So clarinet 1, flute 1, trumpet 1, your sound, boop, is like that big. And it's not personal, it's science, right? The higher the frequency, the faster that vibration, the further the sound travels, right? And so what you're contributing to play forte is probably like this big compared to tuba. When you're playing forte, you're contributing, right? So if flutes are contributing this much, Tubas do not have a chance. It's not nice, okay? So what I want to do now, I want to hear the back row again, and I need you to not worry about the dynamics on the page. Dynamics are relative to the musicians in the room. So I want you to fill up this hall, okay? Here we go. Pick up to 81 again. How do we feel about that? Okay, let's do it again. I need more tuba. I want you to know that there's two ways to breathe. You can breathe from here. That's like your speaking voice. You need to breathe from down here when you're doing musical things. Both lungs. Same people, same place. So, my trombone friend, you cannot play louder than the tubas. If you want to play loud, tell them. Here we go. One. Sorry. I forget you can't hear me. Here we go. Ready? Same place. We're going to make our air shoot out of the bell. 1, 2. Yes, good. Ah, yes. Good, both lungs. Yes. Ah. Yeah, that last note was tasty. Good work. Okay. Now let's add everybody and think about what your contribution needs to be to maintain the magical bubble. Okay? Here we go. Everybody? Nice big breath from here. 1. Tell you about the second thing we were going to do. Hey, that sounded really lovely. Did it feel different playing through there? Yeah? Are you exhausted? Good. That was really lovely, and I would encourage you, tuba players, don't worry about dynamics. Don't worry about them, just play loud. Okay, so the second thing I told you I wanted to talk about is fermatas. This is just a thing to try. I think you can take more time, and I think this ensemble has the maturity to let it settle and let your audience really savor it and then move on. So make sure you look up at me for the ritardando at 99, and then I'm going to hold that fermata. You did a great job on that release in the grand pause. Flute solo, who's playing the flute solo? That was really lovely. And then I'm going to take time getting into the fermata at 104, so watch me for that, right? And then I think I have to pass the mic after that, okay? So why don't we just go pick up to 97, and tubas, just keep playing as loud as possible. I appreciate that we're working on protecting the melody. Good. Here we go. Pick up to 97. 1. That was really lovely. Thank you.
Washington High School, congratulations. I'm Ron Gerhardstein, Associate Band Director here at PLU. And I know several of you. It's so awesome to have you here. Just really quickly, I'm just gonna, I'd love to have some time to work with you, but we're short on time because we need to get the next band in here. First of all, Robert W. Smith's Encanto. We lost Robert W. Smith this year. He just died a few minutes ago, suddenly. He wasn't that old of a person, and I happen to know his wife, and I don't know his kids. He has 2 daughters, but anyway, he's done so much music, and you picked like my favorite Robert W. Smith piece. Like, I love this piece. It's my favorite one, and all the things that Aaron was working with, I think are right on. Okay, so just getting us to play out I love this concept of this bubble of sound. And the thing I want to encourage you with, and I'm just going to chat about this so that you can work on it back at home, is dynamics. So especially in the march, okay? So what I would encourage you to do is to find places in the march where we just kind of play and hold a chord, and we think about that idea of bubble of sound, who plays, who fills up this much, who fills up a little less, who fills up a little less than that. But playing with your best, most resonant, greatest sound at every dynamic level. So in the march in particular, you can find some places where it's a full sound. So like it's a forte, so we play that and we hear that. But then when we go to play a piano, it's the same tone quality, it's just softer. Okay, and so sometimes I think what we're doing is we're not moving our air at softer dynamics. And so I want to encourage you to do that. And marches are great. I love it that you played a march. Too many bands do not play marches, in my opinion. I think that we need to, because we learn good basic fundamentals about playing. Okay, there are fewer musical things going on, but there's still plenty. There's melody, there's rhythm, there's articulation, there's blend, there's balance, there's tuning, there's dynamics. And often the dynamics are extreme, piano and then forte. And so it's a great opportunity for you to play with your best sound at this piano dynamic and then at a forte dynamic. And to think about who has the melody, does that come through enough? At all dynamic levels. And sometimes in your march, that's happening, and sometimes it's not. Okay? So just keep thinking about that. But that idea of filling it up and having your best, most resonant, your greatest, most glorious sound at all dynamic levels. It was so great. Both colleagues said how wonderful it was to hear you. Really well done, very well prepared, and I love it that you're here. You're our neighbors. You're just like right there. So thanks so much for being here, and congrats.